My name's Kate Edwards, president of Together Hospitality. I'm joined today by Kelly McGrath. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. My name's Kelly, and I work for a nonprofit called JobPath, and I'm an employment specialist there.
So how did you get your start working with JobPath?
Years ago, when I first moved to New York City, I did work for a foster care agency that specialized for children with developmental disabilities or medically fragile. So that's where my whole background came within special education. And then recently, I joined JobPath about a year ago because I wanted to get back into that line of work after being gone for about 15 years. I had wanted to do something, but I always felt like maybe not with kids this time, more with adults.
How does JobPath fill that gap between childhood or school age into adulthood?
JobPath actually doesn't work with any children. It's just adults.
Right.
But some people we work with go to college. So they kind of fill the gap in just helping people with disabilities have an opportunity to find employment. We use customized employment. So we try and find a job that could work, because usually it's not going to be, sometimes it is, but it's usually not going to be the typical job that you would scroll through and see advertised online. It's usually fit more towards the individual.
Yeah, that's what I loved hearing, was the idea that you guys actually try to find a specific job or task that might be onerous or challenging or difficult or not being done by the organization. You identify that task so that somebody specifically could fill it. So tell us more about that
Exactly.
Figuring out the job part.
We will approach a business and find out from them what's a need that's not being met, or something that's taking up a lot of time every week for someone. And then we think about some of the people that we work with that we have vetted and think, maybe they could fill this gap for you. Or sometimes your business might need somebody to do a task that's only 5 hours a week. That's where we can come in and be like, hey, we have a great person that is willing to come in for 5 hours a week. We just go in so that the business feels like they're gaining something as well. It's not a volunteer thing. It's actually to fulfill a need that the business needs.
Yeah, the story that you had shared before with me was the idea of somebody coming in and just doing the roll-ups. So putting the silverware in the napkins and just rolling them up.
Exactly.
Which is very often a waiter task, but then that falls into that. There's sort of rules around how much time you can spend doing prep. And
correct.
This is very, very a simple and I'm sure satisfying job.
And another example is we had a young woman that was doing the inventory for the liquor and wine in the mornings. And the manager at the restaurant was staying late every night doing that, and then having to come in early in the morning to set things up. And this way, this woman, she loved doing it. She was so organized and she did a great job at it. So she was coming in, for 3 hours in the mornings and doing all the inventory. And this way the manager was able to get more sleep, come in a little bit later. So it worked out for everybody.
And also that somebody can just really take this task that people dread, inventory, and really
right.
own it.
And some people, because that's something that some people are so into.
Yeah.
If they're very into organizing, that's, a fun task for them.
Yeah.
So many of the clients that we work with, they're so excited to come to work. They're so excited to have a job. And I feel like that's nice for the employer too. It raises morale there. It's different than sometimes your average employee who is maybe like sick of like the task that you were saying, like this is something that they don't want to do. We'll find a way to make it a positive experience.
And you mentioned too the idea that you advise your restaurant or job sites to really take this as these people are here to work a job. This is not a volunteer situation. So what are the things you advise them to do?
Yeah, that's what we try to explain. This shouldn't be a charity. They're also functioning members of society. They want to be treated exactly the same. They should be treated just like every other employee. All of the people that we work with are paid minimum wage at least. So they're a real employee.
So giving feedback, having the actual proper interview. You even said that one of our members today is interviewing one of your clients.
Yes, yeah. Somebody's interviewing on Friday for a job with Hudson Creative. Their need was, this is how it works sometimes, we'll approach a business and maybe they're thinking, they're not sure how they can make this work, but they'll think about it. And at the end of each month, they need to gather a lot of data in order to show their clients the trends and how things have changed. And that's time consuming to put it into a slideshow. So the gentleman that they're interviewing for Friday would be doing that a couple hours a week and organizing it for them. And that's one less thing that they have to think about.
Right. And just because people have special needs or developmental disabilities doesn't mean that they don't have skills. They don't have experiences. They have gone through school. So these are folks who have something to share or something to give.
Definitely. And a lot of them have a skill that they really excel at. You know, another Together Hospitality member hired a young woman to do a similar kind of task, enter data for them. And, you know, I had just gone to check up on her a few days ago, just see how things were going. And she's teaching me things on the computer because I wouldn't know how to do some of that stuff. But she's so great with technology. So yeah, they definitely add so many skills.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So I love hearing that's like such a positive, purposeful moment for the client who's now an employee. And
Correct.
it's such an impactful thing for the culture of that business as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you had an interesting stat about how long people stick on these jobs.
Correct. For the participants that are hired, they usually stay on a job 85% of the time. They stay on the job for a year or longer, which is high.
That's great.
And a lot of times, many times, once we have one person hired, an employer has such a great experience that they end up hiring quite a few more people, especially if they're bigger stores, because we have people that work in hospitality and then maybe retail. So for instance, you know, Uniglow has a few people at each store in the city. Same with Shake Shack.
Right.
They have so many locations in the city, so they also have hired quite a few people. But they all started with hiring one, but then they had such a great experience, they came back for more employees.
I love that. So that's like the ideal situation for everybody involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love hearing that.
Yeah,
Thanks so much for
that's
telling us about this. We're delighted that you've been our social
Thank you.
impact partners.
Yeah, we're so happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.